Why was it important for you, Denny, to go on the podcast directly after the appeals process? And
you said why was that important?
Yeah.
Okay.
Why did you find that as a necessity for yourself to explain what your process detailed?
Well, just to try to show transparency, and obviously, from my standpoint, I think it's kind of simple to just say, well, you said this, so it obviously has to be that. But I thought I kind of laid out what my argument was, and I made it there. That way I just could kind of shed some light on, what the process was as well. I think a lot of people, when you hear the colleague, the Hendrick and mine, like a lot of people don't know how it actually goes, and just try to give some transparency to the people that don't necessarily know. And I thought, obviously, as I stated, I thought it was a very fair process.
What were you expecting? Because you did say that, and I think you said it was also the first time you've gone through an appeal. So did you have maybe kind of an expectation of what you thought it was going to be like going in?
I thought it kind of played out similar to what I thought. I thought, how it plays out and how you submit things and stuff, all was very similar to kind of what I read as far as how it all goes, certainly.
Do you think the changes to the appeals rules that they made this week will change anything, make anything more transparent or have more integrity?
Yeah, we hope so. We hope so. I said, the previous week on the podcast that I think that was something that needed to be done. There's more transparency to understand why rulings go the way they are. Certainly with no proprietary information, with standardized parts. Certainly, I think that if everyone here has the opportunity to see maybe some parts that they deemed illegal or the team deems legal, let you guys draw your own conclusions, and that makes it more informed, I think, and certainly we'll stop with all the conspiracy theorists.
And we would have known whether, why Byron's penalty was changed, from when he turned you.
Yeah, those are the only things, that's why I kind of said at the end, I still don't understand the ruling, considering all the examples and all the precedent and even the real data that I brought to the table. It still doesn't make sense, which is the disappointing part, especially NASCAR's stance on it, but, refuting real data was just a tough pill to swallow.
What do you think? Why did you not participate in the owners' council meeting with the NASCAR?
Well, we at 2311 just made our own decision to, really try to focus on the bigger issues at hand when it comes to, what we can work on collectively as an industry. I've been part of these owners' meetings now for a couple of years, and those quarterly meetings, I don't know, they're so different from what probably they can or should be. Again, we just had some glaring issues that we need to work out that are much bigger than probably what was going to be addressed there. So we chose to just save ourselves some time.
Are you happy with Jim and France's participation in the negotiations with the teams?
I'm not in the negotiating committee. My partner is, obviously, and I think that probably had a role in it, is the lack of participation from them in there. Now, again, you're kind of talking through the middlemen, I think, and so they want to have direct conversation.
Have you gotten any sense of whether that meeting got the message? Like, was it a productive move or a move that is looked on as a lack of respect?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I think time will only tell whether it's productive or works or not. Obviously, it's up to the negotiating committee to have those conversations with Jim and Lisa for sure.
Ultimately, what would 2311's bottom line look like if they told you your charters were worthless?
Well, we spent a lot of meaningless money, that's for sure. And I think that while our I know that NASCAR stated our negotiating window is not open yet. That's it's important for us to kind of understand what that is, and we're on a little tighter time schedule, I believe, than what NASCAR is, simply because our charters can run out, and we'd have a lame duck year, I think, next year if we don't have an agreement done sooner or later.
So why is the concern about the lame duck year? Or why, I guess you feel like you guys need to get it done this year? why so, or what happens if you have to go through it, what you say a lame duck is?
You know, I wish I could shed light on it, Dustin, honestly, but I think that you guys kind of need to seek out Curtis Polk or you know, Dave Alpern, Steve Newmark to kind of get a little more insight. I'm sure at this point they're probably a little more open and free to talk to you guys if you can pin them down somewhere.
Does NASCAR having a heavy fist in the inspection process, as we've seen with Hendrick Colleague, does that promote parity among the garage and make it easier for the smaller teams to maintain a level playing field with JGR and Hendrick and the bigger organizations?
I mean, yeah, by theory, yes. Certainly when we came into the sport, I think that at 2311, being that we thought the staff that you were going to have to compete was going to be considerably less, considering all the standardized parts, right? So, you know, what we deemed the issue here was if it was going to get let go with no points penalty, then certainly it does not make our business model look as promising in the future if this stuff gets let go. But NASCAR did make adjustments to try to pin that up in the future, obviously with the rules changes this week.
What do you think of Hendrick getting penalized for like 7 weeks? So you feel like that's NASCAR? And I guess my other question is, like, do you feel like that's maybe NASCAR knowing that the Garage 56 issue is a touchy issue and trying to make sure that the garage feels like they're not getting anything?
I mean, I think that honestly, that if you look at the work that the Athletic did last week and getting kind of all these these crew chiefs and whatnot to openly say that how frustrated they were, I think that was a pretty unanimous sentiment inside the garage. And so, listen, NASCAR wasn't happy about that getting overturned, and the lack of transparency or understanding of why it got overturned didn't make sense to anyone. So everyone was angry. There was only one team certainly that was happy about the results from last week, and so it's their sandbox, and they're gonna, if they're angry, they can scrutinize you more so than they do other cars. That's just kind of how things have worked for a long time, and I'm sure it's not going to end anytime soon.
You mentioned in your argument you had a chart of, I think, 35 retaliatory incidents. Where did you find that, and how much of a keystone of your argument was that?
Well, it was online, and then we did our own research, and I think it was important for my case to simply put, not only here's what has gotten penalized in the past, and where mine, interestingly enough, didn't belong on the page is because mine included no innocent bystanders, had no caution, no significant damage to the vehicles, no egregious driver inputs that showed right rear hooking. Both the cars continued. It didn't deserve to be on the page of 35 other incidents that did not receive any penalties. And all these 35 also included intent that was verbal acknowledgement of intent. Again, that rule was taken out, so why it even applied, what I said on Monday, how it even applied, I don't know. But that's really what they hung their case on, was just all these words, but there was just no facts brought behind it.
Do you worry that the S&T data is too complicated for people who don't live with it?
I laid it as simple as I possibly could. I walked it through. I made sure everyone understood it. It was black and white in my mind, but it was not deemed credible by the source who gives it to us. I'm still scratching my head about that part, is that this is proof, this is real proof, and they just did not deem it credible.
Do you have an understanding about what you can do as a driver in terms of, for lack of a better term, payback or making life difficult on a driver?
We don't know.
And is that something you go to NASCAR?
There's nobody that should come in here today that says that they know what they can and can't do, because simply stated, there's no way you can self-police without manipulating the race or causing contact. It's impossible. So there's just we have to clear that up, and I wish, hopefully we can sit down and figure out what they mean by that.
All right, we got to get him.